It is hard to believe that the CFL season is 3/4 over, and things entering the final 5 weeks of the season. The Argos need to step it up. We have hit damn near rock bottom. You know what's bad when you're in a bad division and yet you can't make a dent in it. 6-6-1. That's Ottawa's record. 6-6-1 leads the East Division entering this week. Yet the Argonauts finished 3-5 against the East, and I do mean finish, because the Argos' final 4 games are all against the West Division, and even worse, that includes 2 against the Calgary Stampeders. The Stampeders have not lost a game since week 1. They've won 11 in a row and are unbeaten in 13. And entering the final quarter of this CFL season, the Stampeders are the only team that is locked in a playoff spot. Though one of 2 teams could possibly get in, or actually both could possibly get in. But I'll get more on that later. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they were red hot. They had their winning streak come to an end against Calgary. This was in week 14. A close, gritty game, 36-34. But they fell short, and they've since lost back-to-back games since winning 7 straight. They are still in a prime position, though, in 3rd place in the West Division, right behind the Lions. Now, the Edmonton Eskimos, the defending Grey Cup champions, well, they're struggling a bit too. But with the way the East is going, the Eskimos are in the crossover position. If the season ended, they'd be in and move into the eastern half of the Grey Cup playoffs. So the Argos need to move into 2nd place at least to get in. 3rd, that bad division's not going to cut it. And while Saskatchewan is all but eliminated, you have to commend the Rough Riders for winning back-to-back games. I mean, they were 1-10, and they won back-to-back games against Edmonton and Hamilton. And so it may be over for the Riders, but it seems to me they're going down fighting. Anywho, on to the final home stretch. 20 weeks. There are 20 weeks in the season. 15 are done. There's 5 to go. And week 16 starts in just a matter of hours on Friday. Friday, the Rough Riders and the Red Blacks go at it. Now, the Red Blacks, before Saskatchewan won back-to-back games, their only win was against the Red Blacks, a 30-29 win this late in the summer. So maybe there's a chance that they beat the Red Blacks again. I mean, Ottawa's home record isn't good. They're 2-3-1 at home, so there's a chance. There's a chance. You never know. Saskatchewan may pull it out. Tomorrow on Saturday, BC and Winnipeg play each other, and both of these teams actually have a shot of getting in. I think both could clinch together. BC, all BC has to do is not lose this game. They could clinch through and win, and even if the game ends in a tie, they can get in. Though a tie does not help Winnipeg. Winnipeg has to win, and Toronto and Montreal both have to lose their games. If all that happens, both BC and Montreal get in. I mean, not Montreal, both BC and Winnipeg get in, leaving 3 spots left. Meanwhile, the Calgary Stampeders will be watching that game because well, Calgary's already locked up at least second place in the West Division, which means a home playoff game. However, if BC does not win, if BC does not win, then Calgary will get the West Division. They'll be in first. They'll clinch first place. See, BC's 9-4. They have 18 points, 5 games left. That's 28 points. So they lose. If they lose or tie, and Calgary wins, Calgary gets the division. And of course, in the CFL, 6 teams get in, and the 2 first place teams get buys straight into the division final, which will be at home, which they will host. So BC has been to the playoffs. This would be if they clinch the playoffs. If and when they clinch the playoff spot, it will be their 20th straight. Winnipeg's looking for their first postseason since 2011. And Edmonton is playing Montreal. They want to keep hope alive. They want to keep that crossover lead going. Right now, Edmonton is 2 games ahead of Winnipeg. Not Winnipeg. Edmonton is 2 games ahead of Toronto, the 3rd place team in the East. So remember, for the team to cross over, they have to be ahead of the 3rd place team in the other division. If they're tied, that doesn't do it. But Edmonton at 7-7 is 2 games ahead of 5-9 Toronto. Now, Toronto needs to get it going, especially since our game on Monday after the Edmonton-Montreal game is against Calgary. Thankfully, that's at home, even though Toronto has not fared well at home this year. 2-5 at home this season. That's not going to cut it. But Toronto is 1 game behind Hamilton for 2nd place. Well, if you count the fact that we lost the season series to Hamilton, we're actually 2 games out. So we're going to need some help. And Hamilton is actually idle this week, though. When they return to action week 17 next Friday, they will host the Ottawa Red Blacks. So that should be a very interesting game in the East Division. So that's my review of the 3rd quarter of the season. It was another great quarter for Calgary. They kept winning games. They were winning left and right. The East fell off, and the Argos fell even harder. But it should be a very interesting 5 weeks. So any CFL fans out there, enjoy this great playoff race, because it's going to be fantastic up until the final tick of week 20. So to that I say good night, CFL, fellow CFL fans.